Hey everybody, welcome back to Esoteric Ramblings. I'm Jesse Arnold, and today I'm going to be giving you my first reactions to Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 5, Chapter 14, The Tragedy. So, I woke up this morning to get ready to watch the episode with my mom, as we do before I go to work on Fridays, so I can avoid spoilers and whatnot throughout the day, and just have something to think about while I'm at work. And I just checked the runtime to see how long the episode was, and I somehow came across the title of The Tragedy, which immediately set my mind spinning about what this was going to be. And the fact that it was only 32 or 33 minutes long, which is not a complaint, but I was like, oh wow, they're going to get in and get out with whatever it is going on this week. And boy, how do I get into this? All right, so I'll try to do my spoiler-free stuff here up front. Once again, it was a great episode, start to finish, action-packed, kept your attention, great performances, the music is always on point, and yeah, it's just a really solid episode all around, and I really enjoyed it from at least the technical aspects, and there's definitely some prizes and some, always adorable and funny moments with... if you haven't watched last week's episode, I do these assuming you're watching the previous week's episode. So if I say something here that's a spoiler for last week, I'm trying not to spoil this week's stuff. But as we know, the child's name is now Grogu, or has always been Grogu. Mando just knows it now, and so do we. And yeah, I really want to talk more about last week's episode. But yeah, there was some... This is another episode where it's hard to really say much about it without spoiling anything, other than, as of last week's directives from Ahsoka, Mandalorian, Din Djarin was sent to the planet Tython, to a former Jedi temple and mountain, to place Grogu on a seeing stone atop this mountain, where he, if he chooses to use the Force, can call out and Jedi will come looking for him, if there's any other Jedi left. Now, I know there's a lot of speculation as to who is left in the Jedi Order at this point. Not that the Order is still around, but, I mean, obviously we have Ahsoka, Luke. There's the potential of Cal Kestis from the Fallen Order game. And, I mean, who knows who else is out there. I know most of them are definitively dead at this point, but there may be characters that we just don't know about that have somehow survived and either, like Yoda, gone into hiding, or for whatever reason weren't involved in the central conflict in the original trilogy, which I'm okay with if they bring that about. But seeing as they've named Grand Admiral Thrawn in last week's episode, and now other things from old expanded universe stuff that keeps finding its way into this show. There's always the potential of Johor's C'baoth, who was the crazy Jedi from the original Timothy Zahn series with Thrawn, could show up and be a false positive Jedi, if you will, to the Mando and child. We'll see. So yeah, they go to this mountain to do this, and bad things befall them, as what always happens with them, since you've got the remnants of the Empire chasing you down. So with that, I will leave this warning, as spoilers are coming now. Okay, so the big spoilers in this episode are the return of two characters and a confirmation that a character we were speculating about from last year has been confirmed to be one of the possibilities. So the episode starts off with the recap, and you see Fennec Shand on the ground in Tatooine dead, and the cloaked figure approaching her. Turns out that was Boba Fett. He brought her back to life, or prevented her from fully expiring, and now they are working together. And you get the first hints at this when the amazing Slave One ship flies into the atmosphere and distracts Din while he is trying to get the child out of its trance on top of the mountain. So yeah, Slave 1 shows up, and Boba Fett comes out. He's, looks like he does at the end of that first episode, and he wants his armor back. So it's a standoff between him and our Mando. And then, of course, Fennec Shand shows up as his kind of sharpshooter, and she's, like, working with him. And it's a cool little interaction between them, and I like that it's not just all shoot, kill type stuff. And, of course, they come to an agreement of protecting the child and making sure it is safe as long as Mandalorian gives him his armor back. Well, of course, in the process of just getting this established, a troop transport of stormtroopers shows up, and it turns into an all-out skirmish. And yeah, during the adventure, unfortunately, the Razor Crest is destroyed, which my mind would just, I was like, okay, there's the tragedy. That was one of a couple possibilities I would assume was the tragedy. The Razor Crest is worse than Jawa's, worse than it was before. It is vaporized, essentially. Din is able to salvage a few items from it, including the spear from last week's, the Beskar spear from last week's episode, and a couple other things that I'll leave as spoiler-free at the moment. And it ends up with, while this is going on, they realize, the kid is up in this trance, and he's protected by a force field of the Force, I don't know, and Din couldn't get him out of it. So he thought he was safe. And of course, as soon as he leaves him for the last time, bad things happen. And the second tragedy strikes as the aforementioned hinted at dark troopers from 2 weeks ago under Moff Gideon's employ rocket down out of his cruiser and kidnap Grogu. It's awful. It's awful. My mom was losing her mind when they stole the baby away. And when we get to see what happens to him, he's in, Imperial holding cell, just like Leia and Han and all them in different movies. The nice thing is he's using the Force on some of the stormtroopers, which is kind of great until you realize, I'm like, oh, he's like, this is definitely like dark side Force usage right here. So it's kind of a bittersweet moment. And of course, as he's such a little guy, he gets tuckered out, and they, handcuff him in like the energy shackles or whatever. So, the good thing to come out of this, and this is a big deal coming from me because I didn't want to see Boba Fett come back. I was fine with him being dead, but it wasn't just a one-off episode. He has now pledged his and Fennec's services to the Mandalorian, our Mandalorian, until they can safely return the child, because that was the deal. We'll keep the child safe, you give us the armor. He gave him the armor. Well, actually, Boba Fett went and got the armor out of the Razor Crest before it got destroyed. And that was pretty cool when you get to see him jump into action as his old self, which was really cool. And it was really cool to see Tamora Morrison in that role, as we saw him as Jango and the clones. Now to see him as Boba Fett is kind of a nice full circle thing at the end of this. So the three of them are working together, and apparently they go off in Slave 1 back to Navarro, and they go in search, or Mando goes in search of a previous partner in the form of I totally just blanked on the actor's name, but Mayfeld from last year's episode on the prison ship, the prisoner episode, the former Imperial sharpshooter, big mouth guy. So Mando wants him because he knows how to potentially track Imperial movements, or at least figure out Imperial movements. So, but he's also seeking the help of Cara Dune once again, but this time her hands are tied because she is now officially accepted the role of Republic Marshal. So she's got tape she's got to cut through if she wants to help. Which, of course, Mando says that when he tells him they have the kid, she, of course, has this look on her face like, all right, I'm in. So we'll see what happens. I hate that we have this week episode where we have to wait to find out, again, like last year between episodes 7 and 8. We had to wait to see what happened to the child. and we have to again. And I have a feeling it's not going to be fully resolved next week since there's 2 more episodes to go. You can't let the bad guys get it and then immediately get him back constantly. So we'll see what happens. Not that I want bad things to happen to the child, but just from a story standpoint, I can't see them resting him free early in next episode. If at all, maybe the end of the episode. But I have a feeling it might get carried out into the finale for the year. So that is my reaction and rundown on the episode. Great performances. I mean, I really am glad to see Ming-Na Wen back as Fennec Shand. I was really disappointed that she got taken out so fast last year. So it's cool that she's back, and it's cool to see. Again, I have nothing against Boba Fett, but I had no problem with him being dead. It is cool to see him and Din Djarin working together potentially, and it'll be, as cool as it was seeing Bo-Katan and him and the other Mandalorians in episode 3. Seeing 2 characters that like that was really cool. So hopefully we'll see some more of that with them actually fighting together against a common enemy. So that's it. Hope you have a good week. I'll try to get something up over the weekend. It's been a busy couple weeks, but that's it. Mandalorian season 2, episode 5, chapter 14, The Tragedy. And it was tragic. All right, that's it. Have a good weekend.